Joining us now on the Raptors 905 podcast, we have David Johnson in the building. David, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. How are you all?
I'm okay. I don't know about D. How's D doing?
I can't complain. The boys are first in the East right now. Playoffs are looming around the corner. We're feeling good.
Yeah, man. You guys clinched playoffs. How does that feel?
Feels good. I mean, for me, being a part of something this big, my first year in the professional league, it's something new, and I haven't experienced a postseason yet in my post my college career, so I'm excited for it.
What's been so far kind of like the biggest takeaway that you've learned in your pro career with the 905?
For me, was staying engaged. You have a lot of time on your hands, and it's like you're not coming from class to practice anymore. It's like you're waking up, going to the gym. Like, this is how you're providing for yourself. So you have to make the best of it, like, as much as you can, and you have to stay engaged. It's a constant job, and you're living your life kind of based off an app or a schedule. Like, your days might change. If you think something's going to happen a week ahead, it might look different 2 days before that. So you have to be very flexible as well.
So are you telling me that you're not busy enough?
That is false.
I was gonna say I
I'm not telling you that.
Put a word into Patrick Mutombo. He might have something to say, but D, I mean, I don't know about you, D, but like, I've been really impressed with their performance so far this season, and I'm really just excited to get to know David's story. So, I mean, I just want to kind of like jump in, like, kind of give us the background about where you grew up and like how that was for you and how you fell in love with basketball.
I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky. It's probably top 20 biggest cities in North America. Our crime rate's kind of gone up. So when I was younger, it was a little violent, and I kind of stayed out of the way and stuck with sports because you could choose a lot of different paths. And if most of the people that take the positive path tend to get somewhere out of there. So I stuck with that and had the right people around me, my mom, 2 sisters, stepfather. And my mom was really like she was holding me like a crane, like telling me where to go for first 10 to 12 years of my life. And I started to figure out that I really wanted to do something with the basketball thing. And I started with football when I was younger, but took a few hits, and that let me know that basketball was just for me. So after making that decision, I had my 2 older sisters who were they've always been tough on me, but love them to death. That's what they're supposed to do. After I decided that I was gonna I really wanted to pursue basketball, like trying out for middle school team, like AAU, traveling, like it's this whole new thing my mom's invested in. And my mom's like doing her own entrepreneurship, like with businesses and stuff. So she was always kind of just letting us float, like let us do like pick what we wanted to do with life. And my older sisters, they didn't really have the support from my mom like I did, because she was more settled in what she wanted to do, and they kind of had to get some help from the outside. So she invested a lot of her time into me, and they love that what she did when I was younger is paying off now, but they hated it. She would give me the baby treatment. Of course, I'm the youngest, so I would have the upper hand at all times. And when I got to high school, that was when she really my mom taught me how to be a professional before I knew what that was. Her just telling me, like, watching what I do, who I hang out with, like, it's always going to come back to you. I noticed when I was going through like pre-draft and stuff, like these random people were calling my mom, texting her like, yeah, this team, blah, 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 they called, asked. And I'm like, I haven't even encountered with you like in years. And it's like, my mom's like, see, I told you that impression that you make on that person could affect you down the line. And luckily I had all these people that I don't really make contact with on the daily vouching for me that the one time that they encountered with me was it was positive. And that's all someone needs to hear, is that one thing could change your life forever. So once I got to high school, I started to figure out that I could really do something with the basketball thing, and I continued with that with the help of coaches.
So question, like, what led you to decide to go to Louisville eventually? Why did you want to stay home? Why did you want to keep it with your grassroots?
So when I started the recruiting process, my first offer was, I believe I got offered by Xavier, Cincinnati, and Louisville, like all within like a couple of hours. And Xavier and Cincinnati are like pretty big, like they're local, they're close to the Louisville area, so everyone knows what it is, and they're pretty big in their respective hometowns. But Louisville is considered like a blue blood, and that being in my backyard was like, oh, the hometown kid. Like whenever, not many kids get that offer from the city, so it's like whoever gets that offer, it's like, oh, he's automatically going there. Like, yeah, for sure. And I didn't want, like, I like to be optimistic, so I didn't want anyone telling me like, oh yeah, I know where you're going to school. So I would always like keep it and stretch it out. And uh, Rick Pitino was there when I committed originally, my junior year, and they had like an FBI investigation and whatever,
Yep.
all the allegations happened, and they had to clear house. So I decommitted and was looking for a new home. And I entertained a few other schools, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking like, I think I'm going to bank on myself on this one. And I want to play in my backyard in front of my family, in front of my friends. I want my mom to see me play before I go after my dreams with the NBA. So that's what really led to me staying home and playing in front of that. And you can't really beat it, because my high school was right in the heart of Louisville, and I already had a growing fan base. So for me, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's like your support system that's able to kind of cheer you on onto the next level, because, you know, you're not going to get that everywhere you play in the future professionally, right? You could be playing in multiple different markets. And even if you are playing relatively close to Louisville, like you're not going to get everybody, you know, like if you're on a team that's relatively close to Louisville, like you're still going out to different games in different markets across the country. So it's really hard to get that consistent support. So I could totally feel that. Also, side note, of course, I feel type of ways because I'm one of the oldest in my family. And of course, you got the baby treatment, you got the special treatment over here. I'm this over here like, enjoy it. Just enjoy it. You know, was it, so then, you know, so it was an easy decision then to commit relatively to Louisville, just because it was in your backyard. But what was any memories or experiences that really stood out with your time there?
I'd say my incoming year, like that summer going into college, coming out of high school, I thought I was on top of the world. I just won a state championship with my high school team, and I was going into college feeling like I was at the best of my game coming out of high school. And I was competing for minutes on a really good team. I thought we were going to win the national championship that year if it wasn't for COVID, but I bet a lot of guys could say that didn't get to play in that. But I think during that year, it was just so like, I hate to say it, but like pre-COVID, that was like, we were so gelled together. And that moment, like we went paintballing that year, and it was the most fun I've had in a while, like before that. And we went paintballing, and just seeing like guys happy, like shooting guys, like just seeing the smile on people's face, like it was the best thing ever. We would go to our coaches' houses for like pool parties and stuff to like just have dinner, things like that. Like those small things that aren't really like kind of like texting the group chat, like guys, be ready to be in the van at 5 p.m. to go to coach's house for this, or let's go to coach's lake this weekend, like things like that, like practices. I mean, the time for me, it flew by like really quick, but for the most part, I'd say my favorite memory from college would be beating Kentucky my sophomore year. Shout out to Ashton.
I was just going to say, Ashton, we're going to have something to say about that.
Yeah, that was.
Did you guys actually cross paths? Did you actually beat him?
No, I didn't. My freshman year, I was on the team that he played that beat us. So he got the upper hand on me.
He got lucky.
Yeah, he missed me.
So it's this time of year, teammates generally chirp each other, right? When it comes to the bracket and it comes to madness, unfortunately for Louisville. I mean, you guys are not in there. Has there been a lot of
Kentucky's not
chirping
either.
amongst the guys?
There's been a lot of chirping as of late, but I think there's one person who has a team left, and that's Justin with Arkansas. But after that UK loss, there was a lot of chirping going on in the locker room.
Yeah, that was awful. I do want to talk a little bit about, your draft, because it felt like there was a lot of mock drafts and a lot of predictions of where you could go. You could go as high as this, you could go around here. And then you did end up in the second round. What was the decision process like for you to even declare for the NBA draft to begin with?
It was at first it was like a questionable thing for me, but I had to take a reset from basketball for a couple of weeks just to calm down and see where everything was, because there was the year before the draft had been pushed back to I don't know, November, and the uncertainty of what next year would be like if I came back to school or if I left. There were so many things playing through my head of what could have happened. And I talked to the person who I talked to the most, my mom, and we talked about that and had some outside words. And she was just like, "What's your main concern? Why is this decision so hard for you?" And it was where I'll get. I was like, if I'll get drafted or not. And she's like, "Well, once you declare for the NBA, you're gonna be there. You don't." She's like, "If you really think that you can do it, you don't need to worry about that. Just go, and everything else will fall in line." So I went through the process and went through my workouts pre-draft. I was in LA working out. Signed with an agent. That was huge stepping stone, milestones in my life that are a lot of people don't really get to do that. So I was going through something that was pretty big, but I was really inside my head for the first couple of weeks, because I'm like, man, I don't really know what this is like, but I have all these people on the outside telling me do you really know this is the NBA you're talking about? And I'm starting to realize it, oh, I'm really in this. It's time to go. And I just hit the ground running from there. My summer was a blur. It was the fastest I've been moving my entire life, from workouts to finding places to play 5-on-5 to traveling to all your team workouts, interviews, combine. Everything was moving really fast. And then before you know it, Summer League came, and back to draft night. But draft night I didn't really know where I was going to get picked. It was a lot of people shuffling around. Some picked earlier than expected, or some picked later. And there were some calls early when I thought I would get picked, and it was oh, no. And then 47 comes around, and I actually saw my name on Twitter before I knew that I was getting drafted. And before the draft, I'm thinking the possible spots. All right, so cold. Everywhere I probably might end up would be cold. Might be some warm spots. And then 47 rolls around. I'm on Twitter. It's 2 minutes before. I'm I put my phone back down. I see it on the TV just for reassurance. I'm all right, got to get my passport. That was the first thing that popped up in my head, was got to get my passport.
Yep.
And did not have my passport.
So, given the Raptors' reputation with developing players, coming up to a brand new country, what were your initial thoughts, and what have you been able to take away from Canada so far?
It's really diverse, and everyone here is very helpful. I feel that's something that you hear a lot, but it's weirdly how not even it's not helpful. They're not overly helpful. They're just
Polite,
that's what people should do. Out of the niceness of your heart. So I like it so far. It's good food. There's been a lot of Jamaican food like that's been introduced to me that's kind of new. So
Really?
I haven't found out like a specific spot, but I've had
What
a
do you
lot of.
like? What dish?
I like the jerk chicken with rice.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, my guy. I do want to touch back a little bit on what you said about the passport, because that was kind of like the buzz around the city, like Scotty Barnes and Delano Banton, they're having a cool bromance unfold before our eyes. And then they're like, wait, don't we have another pick? Where's David Johnson at? Like, and then we find out, oh, it's a passport issue. So, what was it like to see like them having their adventure and you kind of just being on the sidelines for this one, while that all unfolded? And how did you end up getting your passport like relatively in time?
So like the first like I think it was like the day, might have been the day after, was when like they were like, yeah. So there's a plane coming through. I think it's gonna pick up Scotty, and it could stop and get you if you can find your passport. So I'm like scrambling. Me and my mom were looking for it. We found a passport. Turns out it's my mom's that she didn't even know that she lost. She's like, oh, here's my passport. So summer league's in. We have to be in Vegas in 3 days after the draft, and plane goes. I didn't end up finding it, so they go to Toronto and go to Vegas from there. I just go straight to Vegas, and before I left for Vegas, I had to figure out a bunch of stuff to get it so I could get it within the next couple of weeks. And then I made my way up there like a month after when we all met in Toronto.
So you all figured it out afterward. Did they take you around any of the spots afterwards anyways, or not really? They're like, you missed it.
When I got here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went around a little bit, yeah.
Okay, good.
So what's the transition been like to, get into the league with, first of all, a guy like Masai who, prides himself on developing, our G League team and, having guys with 2-way contracts. And I guess what was the initial impression for yourself getting that 2-way contract and what it meant?
I meant that like some people see the G League like as a demotion, but it's like the perfect opportunity to get better. Like you're right there with the best players on earth, and a lot of the best players on earth are also in the G League. So it's like it's a win-win situation. Whoever you're with, you're going to get the best out of them. I believe in the Raptors 905 and the Raptors organization. They pride themselves on professionalism and development, and I think I couldn't have been in a better spot. I know I was like, at first I was like, oh, I'm in Canada, it's going to be cold. And first, like within like the first 2 months of me being here, I was like, I couldn't have picked a better situation, or couldn't have been picked for a better situation.
Yeah, been picked. It's fate, yo. I was gonna say, because you're telling me like you're going through the list of like, oh, that's cold, and then you somehow end up, oh, that's the coldest.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome to the north, yo.
It was warm when I got here, though. I've heard it's like the best place to be when it's warm, and I've noticed
it is. Because listen, our summers can get as hot as like 40 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that in Fahrenheit. That's hot in Fahrenheit. It's really hot.
That's
do you know?
Quick math. No, I have no idea.
70, 80, I don't know.
Okay. I'm kind of curious to hear, as we're starting to get a better feel for your game, I feel like Raptors fans and 905 fans, they've been able to kind of get a better understanding of what you bring to the table. It's a very much an overall game. You can shoot the ball really well. You had a game winner, and just a very, very high basketball IQ is what I've heard all around. And we see it when you play as well. Who has been your mentor in the professional realm since arriving to Toronto?
For me, I'd say Patrick Mutombo.
Good answer.
Since he's gotten, was actually with him in summer league, and he was the coach for the summer league team. And at first, I didn't even know who the guy was. I thought he was just like they just pick random people for the NBA stuff is like so new to me. Like me seeing all these people in the gym, and then Mutombo, he's like yelling. I'm like, who is this guy? And then it's like couple months later, he's running the practices, and I kind of see what he sees on the court and try to think like he would think. and I think that's helped me a lot. And just him speaking, he like has this random time where he'll talk about a random topic, and sometimes I feel like it's directed at me, but it's just kind of like a little like a wake up thing for everybody in the circle. So it's like maybe he's talking about me,
At
or
me next time.
yeah, like but like him being around is like huge. I think for everyone's personal development in the program. He's a real professional at what he does, and I think he can only improve, and the people around him, he really uplifts them too. So that's one person who's really uh, mentored or influenced me.
So, sorry, go ahead, Seth.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, we talked about it off the jump. You guys are in first place right now in the conference. It's weird because in November and December, this team didn't look like the way it is now. What would you say is the biggest difference between the first half of the season and the second half of the season with this team?
That's a really good question because we talk about that as players all the time. Like
Mm.
they're like, why were we playing? Like why were we that bad, or why were we doing this that early on? And it's like, dude, I don't know. Like we're just playing really good basketball. Like we're all bought in. Everybody's wants to wants to do better for themselves, and in order for you to do better for yourselves on a basketball court, your team has to be doing it. So
Mhm.
uh, every game that we do well in, everybody has their individual accolades on the side. So as long as our team is doing well, we'll continue to have guys doing career highs or having career nights.
I know that as like a sideline reporter, let me tell you how tough it is of a decision of who we're going to interview at halftime, who we're going to interview at the end of the game, because it's like, well, Isaac Bonga is just one short of a triple double. Okay, well, like David Johnson just went off for like 25 points. Like, who are we going to get?
Yeah.
Like sometimes there's seven players in double figures. And so thank you and no thank you for making my life hard. But I still like, it speaks to the professionalism of the team and how everybody did buy in, and what you just said too. It's almost like a carousel of who gets that accolade, who gets the spotlight on a game to game basis. And that's how you succeed in this league. Right. So shout out to your team there. But I'm kind of curious as to who, you talked about your mentor and being Patrick Mutombo. Who's your mentor, or maybe less of a mentor, but who do you look up to in terms of player performance? Like, is there a player that stands out to you in the league? It doesn't have to be on the team per se, that you're like, yeah, I like his game. I want to kind of shape my game after that, or I like what he does.
For me, there's like a lot of people just because of like when you watch my game, it's like, oh, what does he do well? It's like I feel like I could be a point guard, I could be a shooting guard. Like I try to watch everything. Like I want to be the best screener on the floor. Like I just try to do everything on the floor to help the team win. And recently, there's been a couple of like Draymond Green like highlight tapes like flowing around on my YouTube algorithm. So been watching him over the last couple of months. I've been watching Devin Booker for years. I love CJ McCollum's game. I think I've watched a lot of him. Kyrie Irving, he's an exciting person to watch. He influenced a lot of things. I could go down. I mean, Dirk Nowitzki.
Hmm.
There's a lot of people. Like, even though I don't play those positions, like I try to get things from them. Like Tim Duncan, I've been using the backboard. If you notice during my pregame routine, I have to get a bank in three from the wing. It's that angle is like I see what he sees in that bank shot, and it's something that could be useful. So if I hit a bank shot game winner, don't be surprised because I worked on it.
Well, you had like a bank shot, like game floater off of like an elbow.
Yeah, I mean,
So it's all, did you call money though?
no, I didn't. I called game. I didn't call money. I called game.
You can call it bank. I'm kind of curious, have you been able, obviously you spent a little bit of time with the Raptors. You spend a lot more time probably right now, just by nature of how your season have went. You had injuries, you had health and safety protocols to follow at some points. Have you been able to play against anybody that you used to look up to, or you kind of like, modeled your game after a little bit so far this season?
There was Ding Adele. he was with the main Celtics. He's in the G League, but he was someone that like when I was younger, uh, in Louisville, he went to the University of Louisville. So when I was like, I think like seventh, eighth grade, like it's crazy how worlds collide. But when I was like seventh, eighth grade, like I used to think he was like a god for Louisville basketball. And I was like sharing the court with him now. I was like, he's like, "Oh, what's up, little bro?" It's like
It's like,
you can't really
see
call
here.
me little bro anymore.
Did
But
Did you?
there's a bunch of people.
I was gonna say, did you have a moment to talk to him? Like, was that even like brought up that you did look up to him?
Yeah, I talked to him. Yeah, we
Oh,
talked.
okay.
if I have a whole group chat or whatever. But I do want to ask, if you weren't playing basketball, I love asking this question to everybody because everybody's answers are so different. If you weren't playing basketball and you're not allowed to play another sport, what would you be doing? Yeah, nice try. I'd be playing football. No.
I said I'd want to be like I want to do sports medicine,
Mm,
like because it's still in the sports world.
mm.
But if not in the sports world, something with cars, not like building
Oh.
cars either, like designing or like driving. I can't do the
Okay.
fixing.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, are you one of these people that have jumped on the F1 bandwagon with the show coming out? I feel like everyone's like an F1 fan now.
No, more of like actual like drivable cars. Like I don't like the concept cars. They're cool and all, but like the
My guy said actual cars. He's gonna offend a lot of people out there.
Like, not like these toys.
Yeah.
Hot Wheels is for you, eh?
mm, so.
So the last thing I kind of wanted to ask you, before we sort of wrap up here, with the last couple of games left here before the playoffs, what are you looking to do individually and as a team to tune up before you enter the postseason?
We've been talking about recently, like as of the last couple of days, about playing our best basketball around this time is perfect because we're gonna finish the year off playing our best basketball. That's how we're gonna win the championship. So just starting to tighten up everything on our game, some loose screws, defensive things, schemes, putting in different things on offense. For me, I've been up and down, in and out with like injuries, so making sure I'm 100% healthy, being available is key for me, and for our team is just continue to gel together as time goes on.
Yeah, man. Gotta stay healthy, yo. That's been kind of, I feel like half the battle this past season with you is just like not only just the passport, but like where's David Johnson
Yeah.
at? I guess I want to just have a last question and just ask you, like, what's been the biggest lesson so far that you've learned? I guess you mentioned a little bit about time management, but like on the court, what's been the biggest lesson for you?
Being patient. I realized that there's a lot more time in these games than what I was used to playing in. Like college is 20-minute halves.
Mhm.
So NBA is like 48 and you're playing 12-minute quarters and you'll be playing for like 4 minutes and look up and you'll think there should be like 10 minutes off the clock. And like that first media, but like just like knowing when to knowing how to control the game. I think that's for like everyone on our team, like knowing when to take that shot or when's the right time to do this and certain things and kind of thinking the game throughout the game. Cause I think sometimes we get carried away of like, you're just playing basketball and you're just going up and down. You're not really seeing what's going on. But thinking while you're tired also is going to be huge, especially going down the stretch. And we're the top team, so we're the hunted. No, we're not hunting anything anymore. We're being hunted.
It's funny because everybody likes to cheer for an underdog, but I always say it's actually harder to be, I call it being an overdog, but it's always harder to be the top seed because you got to bring it every single night. If you're an underdog, you're allowed to have bad games. No one's expecting much.
Mm-hmm. And somehow the underdog always brings it against the overdog.
I was gonna say we see it in the tournament as well, right? I mean, we're in the midst of March Madness right now, and Arizona had a tough night yesterday, and Gonzaga did as well. So you make a really good point, Sav.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyways, David, I don't know if you have any final words, but otherwise we'll let you go.
Alrighty, I don't have anything. Unless y'all want to hear anything else.
Yeah, this is now the David Johnson tell-all. No. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you have a pretty busy schedule between practices and games and getting ready and finding some time to rest as well. So appreciate it, man.
Thank you for having me.